Today's episode, we're going to discuss the WWE World Title Finals and how they will be freaking phenomenal. And also, how does the Tribal Chief solve a problem called the Usos? And plus, we're going to discuss how Don Callis shows us the proper way to use a screwdriver. Kenny Omega may not know who to trust, but you can always trust us at Welcome once again to Ringside right now. You know, I'm with the crew as always. I'm your host, Pierre, and then we always have Clinton, Curtis, and Jonathan with me. Our fifth member, Calvin, he's on assignment right now. So we're going to discuss some good topics today. But before we get started, be sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and be sure to hit that notification bell so you'll know when we're dropping new content. So, fellas, the first topic we're going to discuss is the WWE World Title Finals, which ends up being between Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. As you know, Raw had two triple threat matches to determine the winner from that side. SmackDown also had two triple threat matches, which decided the finals, which led to Seth and AJ being able to face each other for world titles. So, fellas, what do you think about the triple threat matches and the finals that we're going to get for that title?
Why did
First
they?
off, first off, I like the matches, and I'm not sure if anybody noticed, but that was a pretty nasty gash on Bobby Lashley's head.
Yeah.
But you got to give him credit for being able to gut that one out. I'm okay with AJ. It seemed like WWE kind of played it safe there. I would have preferred Lashley to be that second opponent. Would have added more intrigue because I've said before, you have Lashley and Seth. These are both guys whose Roman has never beaten. But now people are probably going to wonder why wasn't done over further weeks. But maybe they want the winners to kind of meet up and have promos to build that matchup more. But I could be wrong about that.
First of all, is Calvin on assignment working on his Pafo Computron 3000 upgrade?
I think
We can neither confirm or deny that, John.
I think he may be in Rio de Janeiro researching a tournament that's going on.
Bunny. Yeah, I don't understand why they had to just. Maybe you're right about maybe they need to work on some promos, but I think AJ versus Seth pretty much is. Does that really need any help? I don't think it does. I think it would have been better if they did singles matches. I mean, they could have done a couple or three on each show in 2 weeks. They would have been done, right? I don't know.
I mean, they could have had one every week building up to the pay-per-view.
Something.
These
So
are how tournaments work.
yeah, to me and AJ, I mean, he's called phenomenal for a reason. He's incredible, and Seth is freaking great. So you can't go wrong either way. But I'm with you, Curtis. I mean, Lashley would have been a good one also. I mean, he's been a world champ before. So I could have seen them putting the belt on him. But to me, here's the problem I have. This belt has been pretty much painted as a participation trophy.
The consolation prize.
And Reigns is pretty much pulled his pants down and dookied all over it. So it's like whoever wins this belt, I mean, they're gonna have respect because if AJ or Seth wins, I mean, Seth is so over with the crowd right now, it's ridiculous. And AJ's great. I mean, they love him, but let's face it, whoever wins this belt is just going to be second banana to Roman. And we'll get to that whole side of things in a little while.
Well, they're going to have to take time to, build some lineage and respect behind it, just like they did with the Universal title. They had to kind of build it up.
It's like, I don't know. They could have done that. I think they should have just split the belts that Roman had.
Yeah.
And then there's the tag team thing. The way this whole draft worked and you got people that can just play on either side, either show. I mean, I'm not even sure why I know why they.
Why do we even have a roster split anyway?
Yeah, it's like
especially we've got certain belts they're exclusive to certain brands and this and that. It's just a bunch of nonsense.
Then we'll get to Sammy and KO later. I was a little shocked by that because I didn't think Sammy would work in Saudi Arabia, but now I understand why. So we'll get to that later. I've talked long enough.
The thing about the drafts, I mean, there have been drafts that have been done wonderfully. The first draft, we all remember that was done about as well as could be. But now it just
the
seems
first
like
draft was necessary because they had just brought in the WCW roster, so they had 2 rosters and they needed to split. I don't think that's necessary in 2023.
yeah, but given that, like I was about to say, you can have that split roster, but on the other hand, you don't need to just throw in so many just if so's and factos. Like, okay, after this show, we're gonna do a supplemental draft, and then whoever doesn't get drafted does this, and that. It's like it's too much to really.
And then you've got free agent.
We're gonna have a commentator draft and then a front office producer draft, and it's just like, did anything? I mean, and then there's Bianca's still Raw champion. Correct me if I'm wrong, and she's on SmackDown, and Rhea, SmackDown champion on Raw. Makes plenty of sense.
Yeah, they didn't address that part right, which is kind of crazy to begin with. Yeah. But I think overall, to your guys' point about it being basically a participation trophy, if you will, it was probably a necessary participation trophy, so to speak, because you have your quote unquote number one flagship show with really no champion on it outside of Theory, and then the women's champ, but you had no face title, if you will. And the smart move would have been to split the belts, but how do you do that and keep Roman dominant the way he's been by having the belts for so long, coming up on this 1,000-day reign? So it's the execution more than the thought.
I think that's it.
I believe they've had some opportunities in the past, but they just didn't. Unfortunately, I feel like they just missed out on them.
And I also have a problem with, where was our guy, L.A. Knight?
I still think he would have been a good my idea. I said Finn should have won on Raw. I mean, they had it set up that night. Did you realize that each member of Judgment Day had a singles match on Raw, and they all won except Finn? Rhea had a match and he won. Dom had a match and he won. Damian had a match and he won, and then Finn lost the triple threat.
I don't know. Well, you got to remember, Damian lost. He lost to Seth.
He was in the triple threat with Seth.
Right. He was in the triple threat with Seth, so he lost there. So
I forgot that.
But you had your two main.
Either way, Finn should have won. I like my idea better, where Finn wins the belt and Seth has to chase him and go to the Judgment Day and work his way to SummerSlam. But I'm not Triple H, so.
You think Seth's gonna win?
But now you've built in a rivalry of sorts, where now Seth will probably have to end up dealing with Judgment Day because of the fact he beat Damian and he beat Finn in the same night. Yeah. So now you've kind of built in this thing going towards SummerSlam to now, you book for the future, maybe not the immediate payoff that we want, but maybe because of that, we'll get the future booking that actually end up looking better, down the line. Well, and if Triple H is truly booking this, we got to give him time to work.
Yeah.
And as the great Xavier Woods would say, and the rivalry grows.
Watching too much up, down.
Hey, it connects with it when you think about it.
I read something. They said that part of the deal for Endeavor taking over WWE is Vince has a contract until he croaks.
Yeah. Either until he dies or until he's incapacitated.
So do with that as you will.
Yeah. So again, we've always been critical of Vince's booking probably for the past 10 years, more or less. So hopefully with Endeavor, and that was the other part I was about to mention about the title. Endeavor now being the partner or owning WWE, they're going to want a face champion. They're going to have it. Networks have done that. That's reason why Kofi lost the belt to Brock when they first showed up on Fox because they wanted a face they deemed they could sell.
Yeah, they wanted Brock.
So he's a known name, so they're going to give it to him. So in this point, give the first title to a known name that you know the crowd is going to follow.
So
or we're assuming Seth's going to win, but pretty much if he's on Raw, AJ's not going to be split from the OC like that.
So that's why I said whoever wins on SmackDown. I mean, do you think they're going to win? That's just like, I don't know.
But either way, you then have a great match set for Night of Champions in Saudi Arabia between those two. You can't go wrong, like you guys have stated.
Match regardless, yeah.
They wrestled before, haven't they?
Yeah, I think they have. Sure. They faced each other before, but again, they put on great matches because those guys are two of the best wrestlers today and probably of the past 10 years for sure.
Yeah, they could fall asleep and put on a classic.
Yeah.
Exactly. Each one of those guys could wrestle a broomstick and throw on a classic. So, of course, against each other, it's going to be magic.
Well, AJ did wrestle Shane McMahon, so there's
that. Yeah. But, they got to make up for that somehow.
He's not horrible. God bless him. I hope he's healing up.
Yeah, a quick recovery to Shane McMahon and his injury. Moving on to SmackDown, where the Tribal Chief had a little bit of a problem with the Bloodline members. I mean, Solo, he was proud of, but he had a problem with the Usos, especially the Usos dedicating their match before the rematch for the tag titles, and they end up losing that. And of course, this set Roman off, and Roman decided, you know what? You guys don't have to worry about getting the undisputed tag titles back. Me and Solo are going to handle that at Night of Champions. So what do you guys think about that aspect of them and possibly now really seeing the rift between the Bloodline members?
I totally did not see that coming at all. That was a shock. I mean, I figured there was going to be a tag match for the titles, but when he said Solo,
yeah,
and I was like, okay, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he was going to say Jimmy or Jay was Solo, maybe. Then he said him. So I was, man, this would be, we're going to do a segment later on. Should be brought in. This would be a perfect time to bring Jacob Fatu into the WWE.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. What I like about this storyline is there are so many different ways it can go. There's not, it can do this or this, just one or two ways. There are so many ways it can go. So let's think about it. If Roman and Solo win, then they're going to say, oh, the Usos are worthless. They couldn't get the job done and we got it done. If they don't win, then it's a matter of, did the Usos interfere or not? If they don't win and the Usos interfere, then they can blame the Usos, saying you screwed us out of our shot. We had one until you ruined it. If the Usos don't interfere, then it's why didn't you come in and help us out? If they don't, there's so many different ways. Are they going to win? Are they going to lose? Are they going to lose because of the Usos? Are they going to lose because of Solo or because of something Roman did? Is Roman going to take the pin? Is Solo going to take the pin?
I think it's going to cost them the match. I think that's how this is all.
So I have no idea where this is going to go, and I'm excited about that because I can't call it. I can't predict it.
And I was like, okay, Sammy's going to Saudi Arabia. Whoa. Are they belts beforehand? Because I didn't know about all the diplomatic stuff behind this.
Yeah, I was shocked.
That was interesting.
I was shocked they were even going to, be able to defend the tag titles, but they got that sorted out. So
I'll put it this way: when the match was announced, my inner Ron Burgundy just flew out. That escalated quickly. So I guess we're going into that proverbial fourth inning that Triple H and Paul Heyman were talking about. Yeah. But man, there's like Clint said, there are just so many layers to this that we can go into. You can kind of, and I would love to be a fly on the wall of the creative meeting with Triple H because as far as this meeting, because there's just so many ideas that they could play with. And
you know what? I don't want to be on a fly on the wall. I want to be shocked and surprised.
I'm with Clinton because this is
great. With the exception of knowing what the result is, but there are just probably so many. But let's be honest, there are so many things they can play with, and I'm looking forward to seeing eventually come up with. And
you really can't go wrong.
Hey, is Tama Tonga Samoan?
He is Tongan.
Okay, well, he's an Islander now.
Yeah, that's Haku, not
Tonga.
Not Alpha and Sika.
Right, okay.
Nah, he's not associated.
Well, how many more Samoans are out in the wild? Jacob Fox.
They
have a cousin Lance. I know Jacob.
Yeah, Lance.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Samoan Death Grip wouldn't exactly roll off the tongue as easily.
Let's see, The Rock's daughter.
Yeah.
I watched him and Hammerstone wrestle. That Hammerstone guy is impressive also. We'll talk about all that stuff later, but yeah, it's man.
But yeah, but getting back to the topic, as far as how this bloodline situation is going to pan out, it's going to be really interesting. Like you guys are saying, just to see, I am excited for that match, and at Night of Champions to see how things can possibly break down or possibly bolster the bloodline, just to really see, what tricks Triple H has up his sleeve concerning this story. And then it'll be interesting to see down the line to see how Cody would end up tying into it overall. Curtis mentioned being in the 4th inning and how Cody might come in and this 8th inning coming, Royal Rumble or possibly winning Money in the Bank, to where now you finish off the whole story by being able to finish off Roman as far as the bloodline part. So it'd definitely be interesting to see how this all plays out.
I want to ask a question. And what do you? And I already know what the answer is going to be. What do you think is going to be the main event at Night of Champions? The tag team championship match or the crowning of a new world champion?
Tag team match.
It has to be.
I'll tell you what it should be versus what it will be. It should be the world title finals, because you want that to be the big story, because of the fact you created this belt for this moment, but because of the bloodline, because of Sammy and KO, that match will probably end up being the main event.
I was going to say
the championship match, the crowning of a new champion, the tournament finals is taking a backseat to the bloodline story. That says a lot, and that says everything you need to know about that title.
The participation trophy.
I was going to say that, but
everybody gets a title, and you get a title, and you get a
That's what it feels. That's what it feels
Roman,
like, bro.
But here's
what? Enough. That's must-see TV, so I don't have a problem with it, man. That line story, Triple H. I mean, if he could get an Emmy for that, I don't know how all that works. But if this was a TV,
it was the same at WrestleMania. Theoretically, the women's title match, Charlotte and Rhea should have been the main event. But if you're gonna put a match at the end of the night that has the biggest story, then of course it's gonna be the Bloodline and Sammy and KO. So.
And they put on a classic too, so there's that.
Yeah, but Rhea and Charlotte was a better match.
That was great too. Yeah,
I mean that was you can almost say that was the match of the whole WrestleMania. That match between Charlotte and Rhea. They definitely stole the show with that. Moving on to AEW and Dynamite last week, Moxley and Kenny Omega had a cage match, and of course, Moxley doing what he normally do.
Bleed.
He's going to bleed.
Bleed on
contact. But however, there was a nice little twist at the end where we thought Omega was going to be able to use the screwdriver on Moxley, but Callis decided to get involved, and instead of using it on Moxley, he used it on Kenny Omega. So now we got this interesting plot twist going on. Maybe he's sent in to take Regal's place as far as part of being the Blackpool Combat Club, or maybe he's not even going to associate with them at all. But what do you guys think about the development that happened on Dynamite last week?
Did you notice?
Go ahead.
Okay, when they went through it that one time, like it just popped, they fell through it.
Oh yeah.
I think they had that to where they go through it.
Yeah, so it was definitely an interesting, but it's kind of something that we talked about that as far as the issues that Tony Khan has had. I mean, you're actually starting to build a decent storyline now. How they can build on it, that's going to be interesting. But now I'm starting to, and I'm a Kenny Omega fan, so I already want to punch Don Callis in the face. So So imagine what Kenny wants to do at this juncture, but I would have to say Don Callis needs to be the talking head for Moxley and company, because who else is going to be their talking head? Because obviously we've had Regal leave town quite some time ago, which seems like a long time, but
yeah,
yes,
it's been a while. But here's my thing though: is Callis going to join? I mean, just because he turned on Omega doesn't necessarily mean he's going to join the BCC, because they seem about as shocked by it as everyone else was. Brian Danielson didn't know it was going to happen. He was shocked. They even asked him in commentary, "Did you know this is going to happen?" He's like, "No, I'm just loving it."
You know what?
I don't think Moxley knew it was coming. I don't think he's going to necessarily join the BCC. He's turning against Omega on his own, and they're going to have their own thing in addition to the BCC.
You know what? I didn't even think about that. They already got Brian Danielson as the talking head. He's actually been a lot better in his promos than he's been like back when we're talking probably like first bit of time post Nexus in WWE. You compare that to now, he's been a whole lot better on his promos. So, but even with that, that's going to make things a little more interesting. Now, Tony Khan, you did something right with your storylines for once. Now we need you to kind of build on it.
Can he follow up?
It was an accident.
Exactly.
he got lucky.
Hey, what about Nigel McGuinness for their mouthpiece? They just signed him.
That would work because
he's good on the mic, and he's an accomplished wrestler, and he's got history with Brian Danielson, and he would be a good replacement for Regal, I think.
Plus, I mean, you need a bridge guy there, because they're the Blackpool Combat Club, but there's no Blackpool members in their combat club right now without Regal. So
maybe Callis is mad because he got his ass beat by Moxley, and he's taking a bullet from Kenny, and he's just tired of being whatever. Who knows with Tony, but it looked like he hit him pretty good with that screwdriver. He made it look good. So I don't know.
Probably one hell of a sell, though.
Yeah. It was.
Takesh has been that, hasn't he? I mean, it's like, who are they going to bring in to help out? It's like they get a guy and then he gets taken out. So I don't know where this is going.
Where's Hangman? Is he coming back soon?
He's got his eye taken out.
I think he's coming back. Well, that's going to be the fourth member to that, because Kenny was like, he didn't know who he could trust or whatever. So now you fully have the elite, which, more or less Hangman is a part of. So now here's your fourth member now you can have your 8-man, fight, Blackpool Combat Club and the elite with Hangman in there. So of course,
think the issue is he's going to have a lot of trust issues now. He's known, the Bucks for a long time and Hangman for a long time, but he's known Don Callis forever. That was family to him. So I think. Go ahead, Nugsy.
Oh, he's like his uncle was saying, like
exactly, and I think he even cut a promo backstage saying, "I don't know who I can trust." So right. I think Hangman and the Bucks are going to team up with him, and they're going to have their 8-man. But I think the story in the background is going to be he doesn't know if he can trust these guys, and that's going to cause issues.
I mean, that lends to the possibility of a great storyline going forward. Maybe not quite as intriguing as the Bloodline, but something on that level where it keeps you reeled in for a long, long time to see how this all plays out, as opposed to getting disinterested right away, especially after, the BCC and the Elite clash, because this could possibly be a storyline that goes beyond just that matchup that happened there whenever, whether it be Double or Nothing or All In or in Wembley or where have you. So I think what was that, Nuxie?
The next week at All Out after All In. We crack on Tony, but the whole storyline when Hangman won the title, that was a pretty good storyline.
Yeah, it was
a long time and had a good payoff.
And something since you brought that up, when Hangman beat Kenny, who was at ringside and gave him the go ahead?
The Bucks.
So I think he's going to look back on that too, and that's going to add to it.
The old thrill of the chase.
Exactly. So, why don't you guys tell us, what do you think about these topics today? Do you feel that Tony is starting to get something good storyline wise, or do you possibly think that he just threw it against the wall and see if it's going to stick? Who knows? Just leave a comment below. Be sure to share this video. Also, hit that likes and the notification button. And Clinton, where can they find us on Instagram?
Oh, Ringside right now, of course.
Right. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well. And Nuxie, where can they find you and Bella as well as other videos concerning you and wrestling as a whole?
Nuxie and YD's World of Wonder. That's youtube.com/@NUCKSY.
That's right. So for the crew, as always, Clint, Curtis, and Jonathan and Calvin away on the summit. I am Pierre. And let's ring the bell because this has been Ringside right now.